Great Lakes Prepping here. A little while back, I made a video about how I power my CPAP machine when I'm off the grid, either when camping or during a power outage or so forth. Basically, it involved using a great big deep cycle marine battery and a power inverter, and I can power my CPAP machine for days on end before I need to charge anything. Well, a company called EASYLONGER saw that video and reached out to me and said that they make a portable power solution exactly tailored towards CPAP users, and wondered if they could send me one of their models and have me make a video about it. So today I'm going to be reviewing the EASYLONGER ES960 portable CPAP power station. Now, while I've read through a lot of the product materials on this particular unit, I have not actually opened this box up at all yet, or taken a look at anything, or tried any part of this out. So this is an unboxing video as well as a review, and I'll end up giving it a full test with my own CPAP machine and see how long it lasts and how well it performs. So let's get into this box and see what we're looking at. Right away, I'm finding all of the power cables and adapters that come with it. And the unit itself, which comes in this okay looking little soft shell case. If I can figure out how to get it out of there. Not a bad looking little power station. This thing weighs about 6 pounds, so it's a little heavy, but maybe not as heavy as I'd expect. Pretty heavy duty little carry handle on top. I guess that's cool. I'm not sure how necessary that is, but I like it. Now on top here, I've got a couple of buttons and a little LED screen. If I press one of those buttons or either of those buttons, I get the little battery capacity meter, and right out of the box, it looks like it's about 75% charged. I'd much rather prefer it tell me an actual number like 75% rather than the little battery symbol with the notches in it, but I guess that's good enough to get an idea. Now a little bit about the battery and the power capabilities of this unit. Now this is a 96,000 milliamp hour battery, or 96 amp hours, and the battery in this thing is a lithium phosphate battery, not lithium ion. Now I'm not nearly knowledgeable enough to get into all of the ins and outs of lithium ion versus lithium phosphate, but I know that over the last little while, lithium phosphate batteries have been becoming increasingly popular for things like power stations and solar power systems, and even small electric vehicles like golf carts and so forth. Now lithium phosphate isn't really ideal for small things like smartwatches or little electronics because the cell density is smaller than lithium ion. At least that's what I read. But for a larger device like this, it's got a lot of benefits, such as the battery lasting 4 to 5 times as long in total. And unlike lithium ion batteries, these things apparently cannot overheat and or spontaneously combust into flames. Now let's talk a little bit about the CPAP powering capabilities of this thing. Now according to the documentation, this thing is said to be able to power a CPAP machine for up to several nights, but that's if you're not using the humidifier or heated tubing. Well, I don't know about any other CPAP users, but I basically never use it without the humidifier. I don't care for the heated tubing, but the humidifier is a must-have. Otherwise, I'm going to wake up with my mouth basically dried shut and my throat on fire. You got to have the humidifier. When I reached out to the company and asked how long it'll last with the humidifier or heated tubing, all they said was less time than if you weren't using it. So not exactly helpful. So I guess I'm going to have to test this out myself, and we'll get to that in a little while. Now, right on the website, it says that this thing is perfectly tailored to being used with the sort of top, most popular CPAP models. And that includes the ResMed AirSense 10 and 11. I actually use the AirSense 10. the ResMed S9, the ResMed Air Mini, and the Philips DreamStation and DreamStation 2. And it comes with these various cords and adapters depending on which unit you have. In fact, there's a little tag on each one of these cords that says which machine to use it with. So this is the ResMed Air Mini. Well, this one has the label on a little Velcro band around the wire itself for ResMed AirSense 10, which I guess this is the one I need. Now, also, these different CPAP machines require a different voltage. And going back to this little LED screen, I noticed that if I hold down this V button, it'll bring up a voltage. Right now it's at 12. If I press it again, it goes to 16.5, then 20, then 24, and then circles back around to 12. Now, I'll have to double check, but I believe that I need 24 volts output for my ResMed AirSense 10, so I'll probably be using that setting. And while we're messing with these buttons, I'll mention that there's a great big flashlight on the other side of this thing, and I don't really know how interesting or useful that is, but you can't really seem to make any kind of battery-powered appliance anymore without including a flashlight in it. There's a bright white light, or this sort of warm yellow light. Again, I don't really know why I need either of those things, but I guess if you need a night light in the middle of the night that's gonna completely blind you right in your face, well, they've got you covered there. Now let's talk about some of the ports on this thing. That's both inputs and outputs. It's got these sort of little, maybe water resistant covers over them, although I wouldn't trust those to be water resistant when I'm dealing with a great big battery. Pop these off, and they won't really get out of the way very well for the camera because they've got this little thing holding them in there, but we can make do, I suppose. Now this thing has a few different ports, and that includes a couple of USB-A ports, one USB-C port there. Now, my understanding is that the USB-C port is actually an input for charging rather than an output for, say, going to your cell phone or something. For that, I assume you need to use the USB-A ports over here. But you can charge it with USB-C, maybe either from an even larger battery pack or from a wall outlet that uses one of those little fast charger bricks with the cord that plugs into USB-C. And then just the DC input jack here that you would use with the AC adapter charger that comes with the machine. Also, there's a DC output port here, which you would use with the supplied DC cable for powering your CPAP machine. And it's also got two of these sort of cigarette lighter car style ports, where if I guess they make that lighter style adapter for CPAP machines to plug into your car. You could plug it right into here, although I don't really know why that would be necessary for your CPAP machine, since again, it comes with the supplied cables, and that's probably all you'd really need. But this thing doesn't only have to be used to power your CPAP machine. It is, after all, just a great big backup battery that you could power anything that uses either 12 volts, 24 volts, 16.5 volts, and that includes, charging any sort of mobile device with the USB ports, or powering things like your laptop if you need to recharge your laptop battery, or recharge your drone batteries out in the field. Now, the website for this product mentions that you can also use this thing to power one of those small car refrigerators. And I haven't looked those things up, and I haven't done any of the math on that. I don't suppose that's something I'm ever going to try or bother with, because if it's a fridge that's small enough to be powered by this, I don't think it's a very useful fridge. And how long is it really going to be powered for? If I can power a tiny fridge for an hour, does that do me any good? But if it's something you really need, if you really need to transport a kidney you just harvested to the hospital, and all you have is this thing and a tiny car refrigerator, well, maybe you're in luck. Maybe that's going to save the day. But for me, I don't transport as many human organs as I used to, so I guess it's not that important to me. Now, talking about charging up this battery itself, well, as I mentioned, these ports give you a couple of different options. You can use the regular wall plug, which obviously is the way to go if you're going to be going out of town. Get it all nice and charged up first. My truck has a 110 jack right in the dashboard that I could certainly use to recharge this thing on the go if I needed to. But something that I think is particularly cool about this device is that it's got a built-in MPPT charge controller, which basically means you can plug a solar panel right into this thing, and it's got this onboard charge controller that's going to do everything it needs to do to have a solar panel safely and effectively charge this thing up. Now, once again, according to the website, the charge times to get this thing all the way charged up, presuming it's quite empty, is plug it into a wall outlet in your house. We're talking about 5 to 6 hours. If you had a 100 watt solar panel, about 4 to 5 hours, which isn't bad, because if I'm out in the woods and even if I can get one night out of this thing while running my humidifier on the CPAP machine, I could slap one of my solar panels on it for the day, and by the time I go to bed again that night, it ought to be nicely charged. And if you're using the USB charging, it says about 6 to 7 hours, which makes sense that would be longer. I've used a couple of the Jackeries and the similar power stations that friends own that have brought them up into the woods and so forth, charge my phone, but I've never owned one personally, which is, I know, crazy for somebody with a prepper channel. Normally I'm supposed to have about 9 of them on the shelves back there, which I guess this will end up going back there when I'm done with this video. But I've always just used a great big battery and a power inverter, and it's heavy and big and clunky, but I'm never going anywhere without my truck, and it's always powered everything I need. So that's the bar against which I'm measuring this little CPAP power unit. I know it's not going to get me as many nights as my deep cycle marine battery, which is something like 6 or 7 nights before I need to charge anything. I'm curious to see if I can get one full night using this thing with my humidifier. And I sleep a full night. I sleep 8 hours. So can I get 8 hours off of this thing? So I'm going to plug this into the wall, charge it up to as full as it can get, and then I'm going to hook it up to the machine and go to sleep. And what I'm really hoping happens is that I wake up in the morning and there's still some kind of capacity left on this little capacity meter here. What I really hope doesn't happen is that this thing totally dies in the night and I wake up scrambling and struggling to pull the mask off of my face because it's no longer supplying air to this otherwise sealed mask, and I'm effectively suffocating to death. I'm being a little dramatic, but that's exactly how it feels when you're suddenly woken up in the middle of the night if the power goes out and this thing is on your face, stifling your ability to breathe. So again, I'll be happy if there's any charge left in the morning after I use this thing all night. I'll consider that a win, and I'll be interested to see how much capacity is actually left after that one night. All right, so it's the next morning after I've used my CPAP machine powered by the EASYLONGER battery backup system, and yeah, it worked just fine. I got a full night's sleep, a little more than 8 hours actually, because it's the weekend, and it worked just fine. No different than having been plugged into the wall. And I do again wish that there was a number that represented the remaining battery capacity, because it would be more accurate than the little symbol with the lines in it. But there's 3 lines out of 4 visible, so I can only deduce that that means that the charge on this thing is somewhere currently in the neighborhood of 75%. And since the company says that without the heated tube and the humidifier, the max you might expect to get out of this thing is about 40 hours, which is about 5 nights. According to what I'm seeing here, I could probably expect to get 3 to 4 full nights of sleep out of a single charge on this when using the humidifier. And that's really pretty good, because thus far there hasn't really been any occasion where I've needed off-grid CPAP power for more than about 4 nights. So let's talk real quick about the cost for this particular model. Now, when the company first sent this to me, the price tag was $299. But in the time since, the price has gone down to $240 in the midst of Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals and all that sort of thing. But this video won't go live for a couple more weeks, so I can't say what the price will be at that time. Hopefully still on sale. So $240 or $300 really isn't bad, especially considering the alternatives. And in my case, I looked up the battery pack that ResMed themselves sell, and it's a worse battery and a lot more money. Theirs sells for about $800, and they say that without the humidifier or heating tube, you could expect to get about 13 hours of use powering the ResMed CPAP machine. So a fraction of the capacity, well over double the price. So if that's my alternative, I would definitely every time go with the EASYLONGER battery backup system. So that's about it. I will mention one other little tiny annoying thing, and that's that you have to set the voltage to your machine basically every time you plug it in. When I hold the little V button, it starts off at 12 volts every time, and I have to press it until I get up to 24 volts, which is what my machine needs. And it jumps back to 12 every time I plug in or unplug my machine. So the machine won't turn on until this goes to 24, so I'm not worried about something breaking, but it's a little annoying that I have to remember to do that every time. But that and not showing an actual number for the battery capacity are my only complaints about this little gizmo. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it does it quite well. So that's about it. If you're interested in taking a look at the EASYLONGER ES960, I'll put a link to it in the video description below. And be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest stuff, including backup power solutions and product reviews. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Great Lakes Prepping.